All right. Hey, welcome back to the Go for CEO channel, where we bring you CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and intrapreneurs all around the world. This gentleman, it's been a cool, just getting to know him scenario over the last few months. Again, yes, I plucked him out of Clubhouse, and you see the cool head dressing that he has because he's got a unique brand and he really cares about helping you with his business, right? Health Unicorn Mike, my man, thank you so much for being a part of the Go for CEO channel. Welcome on.
Thank you, brother. I'm happy to be here. Excited to be part of the Go for CEO opportunities. I know you're really well connected. You're talking to the right people, and I'm just happy to be connected with you, man. This is exciting.
Awesome, my man. And by the way, if you're new to Go for CEO, go ahead and subscribe to the channel below. Become a member of the Go for CEO community on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, we're trying to build really a great community of small to medium-sized business owners that tell their story of how to truly run a business, how to be in business, and all those types of things. So again, smash the like button and share, out into the community. So Health Unicorn Mike, I'm excited to have you on because I think that you really play a role in what's happening out there, right? As the great resignation happens, you're leaving benefits at a corporate type of job. And man, if you're an entrepreneur, they need you, like they have to talk to you. So tell me a little bit about and tell the community how you looked at this industry, this business, and how you got started kind of thinking about the ideation of Health Unicorn Mike.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been actually selling insurance for a long time, probably about 9 years. I was before I was into the health insurance space. I was actually a financial advisor under the Penn Mutual banner, and then decided that I didn't really like the life conversation. I really liked the health conversation. Interestingly enough, one of my first jobs out of college before I went to graduate school for my double master's was actually being a national claims adjuster for Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I already had an inclination and a hankering for health insurance before I really got into the industry. And then after being a financial advisor for a while, I loved the health insurance aspect, and I started actually dealing with over 65. Did Medicare supplements. So I speak the over 65 lane. I was probably appointed with about 25 different companies at that point. Actually won Agent of the Year in 2018, and I got second place in 2019. And then I transitioned right pre-COVID, like a couple months before COVID, to start my own company. Doing actually the under 65. So kind of where the unicorn aspect comes into it is that most people, when you're dealing with insurance, probably only speak just one lane of insurance, right? They have their one lane, they stick to it, and that's all that they do, right? But because I'm so well versed, I speak over 65 fluently, under 65 fluently, so dental, self vision, I speak life, I'm able to have the conversation to actually make sure I'm specifically helping people and making sure they're taken care of. And then my wife actually came up with the whole Health Unicorn Mike thing. What was funny, I had a client I was talking to, and I was telling the client all the things I could do, health insurance, same things I'm telling you now. She said, "Oh my goodness, if you can do all those things, you must be a unicorn." I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm a unicorn, right?" And my daughter is 6 now, but at the time she was 5, and or 4, and she loves unicorns. That's her favorite thing is unicorns. So she had a unicorn headband, probably this exact one, and she had a unicorn headband in the house, and so I put it on, and I was just doing a little unicorn dance and joking around with her, and my wife was like, "No, that's a thing." That whole thing, that's a thing. So Health Unicorn Mike was born, and what makes me an actual unicorn in the industry is of course, my level of experience, the expertise, the licensures, the awards, all that stuff. Then I probably have about 5,000 clients. And then the most interesting thing in that capacity is I'm in such a niche field in regards to private health insurance that there's actually only 3,200 people in the entire country that have access to what I have access to. And of those
Wow.
3,200, I was probably number 18 in the country 2 weeks ago, number 2 in the region. So doing that at a high level, doing it at a high level for a long time, and just been helping a lot of people.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's interesting to kind of tweak some of the messaging, right? As you said, initially financial advisor, you looked at it holistically. You found some niches inside that you really enjoyed, right? You became passionate about, and all of a sudden, boom, you got that business rolling. I mean, 5,000 clients, that's no easy task. Even no matter how long you've been in business, 5,000 is a big, big number. So Appreciate you sharing kind of how that started, the mindset, and then awesome the cool branding. So tell us a little bit about let's dive into the branding side of things. How has it affected you to be one of 3,200 or so, like you said, specialists in the country, but have this unique branding to share with us as far as the Health Unicorn side, and how do you think it's impacted your business?
It's been tremendous. It gives me a point of differentiation that no one else has. I'm able to speak to the branding because I believe in it, and it actually, aligned with who I am. So that part's been tremendous. Most of the people that are in my industry, they're cold callers. They call you, hey, do you need health insurance? That's their conversation. I had an entirely different approach, and that's probably where my success has been in regards to a business perspective. And I think that everybody else, the example that I give, I say everybody else is minnow hunting. I say that they're jumping into an ocean with a net, right? And don't get me wrong, they'll get some fish, jumping into the ocean with a net, But I think that the more effective strategy and the way to be more efficient and more intelligent is to actually jump into a lake with a harpoon. And that's how I approach it from a Health Unicorn Mike's perspective, because it allows me to be targeted, be specific, and to be branded in a way that people can relate to. I feel like I think I've looked up a statistic. I think Michael is the most common name in the world, or second most common name in the world behind Muhammad, and in America, it's the most common name. So to be a health unicorn definitely would make me stick out and not just be, Mike, but a health unicorn Mike, which allows a point of differentiation. It creates the branding, and it creates, that draw and offer.
I love it. I love it. So help us understand, as you have branded yourself, and what are some of the arenas, right? I know obviously you're on Clubhouse. That's how we met. What other portals or social media outlets have you been able to kind of be on to grow your following?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm
Mhm.
on LinkedIn. Um, and then I actually, I think I'm supposed to be speaking at about 6 conferences this year, as a keynote speaker in regards to talking about health insurance. Because again, what's funny is I put on my LinkedIn profile, I speak a language that nobody else knows, health insurance. So it's allows for a point of differentiation. But I'm taking this a different approach. I've been doing podcasts, I've been doing conferences, summits, conventions, and then I actually aligned myself specifically on Clubhouse. I'm the official health insurance broker for the Black Think Tank, amongst other groups. I'm the
Mhm.
official health insurance broker for probably about 10 different groups up there, and it just kind of applies to the same approach there.
I love it. I love it. So, you start the business, you get into the industry, you kind of tweak the way that you start to go to market, you start to develop some depth, in those things. What's been a learning experience as you've been kind of this entrepreneur spirit, tied to different areas of your industry, and having to develop those relationships, as far as providers and those types of things?
I think one of the biggest lessons has been um, understanding how important it is to build relationships, as you mentioned. It's not about going for the immediate sale. I'm actually writing quite a few books about sales, but it's not about going for the immediate sale and getting the immediate ROI. It's actually, for me, it's been really about building the relationship, because I want the continual business. And not only do I want the continual business, I want to be the most highly recommended person you can possibly know. I want to be the person that you think of when you think of health insurance, or the person that you think of when you think of benefits, or whatever, in that capacity. It's funny. My tagline is literally your friend with benefit options, because it's for that same type of purpose. When you think of benefits or think of health insurance or entrepreneurs, I want you to think of Health Unicorn Mike. So I go out of my way to distinguish it in that capacity. And I think that my biggest lesson, especially starting my own business comparatively to working for a firm, is the impact of building relationships, and not only building relationships, but building continual, intentional relationships.
I love it. I love it. So, hey, look, it's never easy to start something, and especially in a business that sometimes it takes a while to build up that clientele. It takes a while to build up that residual income wise. Especially with 5,000 clients. Tell us those first few months and years. What were some dynamics of how you managed, to be able to kind of go from that specific way of thinking, which is it's not the ROI up front, but it is the ROI that you need eventually. So what were you doing? Were you just doing bigger numbers in marketing? Were you attracting more people? Were you connecting with other advisors? How did you get your business really kind of launched off?
Okay, I think it was again with the approach of the I think of it as well hunting. You know, I say everybody else in my industry is minnow hunting. Uh, Literally just getting the stuff that jumps into onto their boat. So easy, the easy sales, right? For me, I'm like, nah. I think that the bigger opportunity is to be well hunting. I don't consider myself a whale. I'm not a whale at all. I'm more so like a dolphin. You know, so I get perceived as a whale, but definitely not a whale. Definitely a more of a dolphin in that capacity. But what I was under the impression of was, people will hang out with people they know, like, and trust, right? People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And then initially going into business, I was under the impression that everybody knew each other. You know, like, hey, these heavy hitters know these heavy hitters, and they only hang out with each other. That was completely incorrect.
Mhm.
And what I actually learned is that, and where my business has actually been successful, is that people don't know each other, and that's really where I come in at. So I have an interface where I'm able to be the approach of talking about health insurance, but I may also talk to them about other things. You know, I have other avenues, etc. Also, what's worked well for me is that I've actually lived all over the country. So I can typically relate to most people in a lot of capacities. I've lived in probably 15 different states. So my unique set of experiences and skills, typically people are comfortable with it. And then putting the unicorn on my head removed all intimidation and all fear of engaging with an insurance broker, because now they're like, this guy's a unicorn on his head. There's no way that he's going to be malicious or be doing something incorrect. And that's how I operate. I operate completely. I have a fiduciary responsibility to help people. But by putting a unicorn in my head and just kind of lowering that barrier of entry in regards to connectivity, it's really scaled the business. So I want to say that the biggest thing has just been being the unicorn, sticking out in a way that allowed me to differentiate myself and to be very intentional.
So Go for CO community. I mean, you're learning a ton right now about that branding aspect, about really making relationships count, and then also that upfront feeling that that client has to be able to kind of say to themselves, okay, look, this is a scary area for some, especially when they leave that corporate environment and they need to get some personal insurance. They don't know how to really kind of attack it from either over 65 or under 65. And you've got a great person that's really truly doing good things. So awesome, awesome. So as you've grown Health Unicorn, Mike, what are some areas that you are starting to see operationally that you've had to tweak? Maybe is it your technology? Is it the systems? Is it choosing providers that make it easier for you to do business? How has that played out for you?
I think the biggest transition has been scaling, and retention. What's interesting is that when you work for a firm, you care about retention, but it's not your priority. It's not, the buck doesn't stop there for you. You have a back office team. People handle it for you. They'll make the calls. But then when you're on your own, everything stops at you. So it's like you can write a fantastic policy and do everybody the right way. But what I've been having to tweak, specifically as you asked, is the language within which I'm using. What I'm learning more and more is that people don't even speak the language of health insurance, much less to understand it. So use common jargon, deductible co-insurance, co-pays, simple stuff like that. Not even talking about from a network perspective or network discounts or line item benefits, all the nuances of it. And then another thing that I've had to tweak is that most people think that insurance is kind of a utopia. It's all the same. It's cornucopia. Everything's exactly the same. Works the same for everybody. It's exactly the opposite of how actual insurance works, especially
Mhm.
when you're under the age of 65. So the educational sale has been a much more important aspect of the sale than the transactional sale, and that's been a transition.
Nice. I love that, man. That was deep right there. I think the last probably 10, 15 seconds, a lot of people can really relate to, are you transactionally selling or are you educating? And then that becomes your sale, right? Part of what I do in the financial world is that, right? Is education up front. And then it allows that client to really kind of become like, oh, wow, this person cares about where I need to go for myself. And then, yeah, we know that we all need to make money, right? So it allows for that commonality. So when you said scaling, right now, I don't know if you are mostly working with, either other agents, right, that bring you business. How is it that you are scaling the actual firm itself? Is it through, are you looking to recruit new health insurance people to work underneath you? How do you build out that model for scaling?
I've run teams before, so for me it's a matter of doing it under my own brand. Um, I haven't started hiring yet. Um, Candidly speaking, I'm trying to cultivate it. It's kind of like your baby. You start a business, it becomes your baby, right? And I'm trying to make sure that the baby is well taken care of before I bring somebody else involved. It's like uh, you get a newborn and you don't trust anybody to babysit your kid. It's kind of the same avenue here in regards to the business and the brand. It's like, well, yes, I'm going to grow, and yes, I'm going to build, and yes, we're going to scale, but I want to do it with purpose, right? Because I don't want to bring somebody on and then they're delineating from the brand, or they're delineating from the opportunity, right? Obviously, the future goal is everybody's a health unicorn, and you become a health unicorn, you become a health unicorn. But what I really want to do, how I'm going to scale, and once I start scaling, is I'm going to have a differentiated approach than anyone else. And what I mean by that is, what I want to do is, with scaling, I want to be very specific. So I'll probably, let's say, next 2 to 3 years, I'll probably bring on 7 to 10 people, and I'll give each of them a niche for them to focus on and focus their efforts on. Because what I want is for them to be an expert in their niche, which allows them to generate their own opportunity as a result of being their expert in their niche. Like, for example, for myself, entrepreneurs are the people I help the most, right? A lot of my clients are truckers and travel nurses and lawyers and accountants and doctors. That's the people I help the most. But when I was first getting into the industry and first, getting into it on my own specifically, I was too niched down, right? Like, I only talked to realtors, and there's a ton of realtors. But the thing is that realtors availability wasn't there, so it really didn't allow for opportunity from a financial perspective as much as it should have, right? So then I had to branch out, and we can find out the last point in that capacity. But what in essence I did, the same thing I teach teams, I teach them how to find your client avatar, right? Because I think if you can niche down and find your client avatar, and then find a way to be around only your client avatar, then that's where you're going to be successful. That's where I come to Clubhouse at. That's specifically why I'm on Clubhouse, is because my ideal client, i.e. entrepreneurs, are on that interface. And not only are they on the interface, they're on the interface heavily. They're really involved, similar to like LinkedIn, similar to Facebook groups, similar to, connect your TikTok to your Instagram. I guess there's a lot of ways to approach it. But for me, Clubhouse has tripled my business because of the intentionality and the approach that I have there on that app.
That's phenomenal. So I would say, one of the secrets that you're really, implementing is that you see a vision inside of the industry. You see how you've been able to brand yourself. You see media outlets and social portals of how to attract the right avatars you're talking about. So what are some other tentacles and types of people that you like to work with that may bring you business, or vice versa, you may refer business to be able to have an outside network instead of just only your efforts bringing you business?
Okay. Well, I have strategic partnerships um, with real estate brokers, with mortgage lenders, with financial advisors, with people in the life insurance space, people in the disability space, P&C agents. I have uh, set myself up where the tentacles are out there, but those people are bringing me the opportunity. Like, for example, I have a client that's has a car detailing business, right? Well, guess what? He knows other people that do car detailing. All those other people that do car detailing are 1099. They'd be my ideal type of client. So by me interfacing with that person, I'm able to actually interface with others as well. Similar to like travel nursing, I'm establishing connections right now with recruiters, for example, and people just in different industries that are complementary to what I offer. What's so interesting in that capacity is I preach about this all the time on my stages. You're always on my stages, so I am. But collaboration over competition, right? And I think that the issue is that people don't realize how to collaborate, right? They look at it almost as a challenge, or as a they're going to take away from me. But if you are a complementary piece to what somebody is doing, then there's always going to be a value add type of relationship where everybody wins. So that's kind of how I try to approach it.
That's phenomenal, man. So I love the depth, man, how you speak. There's a lot of depth in how you think about things, how you strategize. and how you've become successful. So it's really interesting to kind of hear you. And if people are listening, Go for CEO community, take a look, take a replay of some of the things that Health Unicorn Mike is talking about, because there's some real depth of how he strategically set himself up for success. So, and that's part of the community. We're trying to teach, from all different levels of businesses. We try to end the interviews typically with CEO. So that's client experience, engagement. Now we're calling it, instead of employee engagement, and then operational excellence. So when you think about Health Unicorn Mike, the things that you've shared today, and we'd love to have obviously multiple times going on into the future to build a community around Health Unicorn Mike. But if you think about client experience and the differentiating way that you bring that to the table to how people interact with you, what would you say is your value added proposition in that sense?
I'd say that I'm transparent. I'd say that I have a very high level of integrity and an ethical compass, right? Also, I think it's vitally important to educate, right? So if you talk to Health Unicorn Mike, if you ever spoken to me on any stages, in any rooms, in any social media, non-social media, face to face, I'm the exact same person, right?
Mm.
Regardless of the topic, I'm the exact same person, and I'll pour into whatever thing that you ask for. So I think that wherein a lot of agents messed up, or maybe it's me messing up, who knows? But I like to go in depth, right? So I like to make sure that not only do you understand the conversation, but you understand the conversation within the conversation. So that way I don't have to come back to have it later on. I'd like to mitigate it on the front end as opposed to on the back end.
Love it. Love it. Well, hey, that's a cool experience to be able to be with a trustworthy person that delivers on what they say, and then follows up, right? I mean, you don't keep 5,000 clients because you're not doing the right thing. It's because you've obviously established the right systems, right ways, and all that good stuff. So, all right. So how about engagement? I know that you're not, building out the team just yet. You're preparing that, but why do people engage with you? Why do you think all these other like centers of influence that you have that are, strategic partnerships, why are they engaging with you?
That's a pretty good question. I think God first is I think it's because God's good. I think that's the premise of everything. And I think it's also because I try to be relatable, and I'm not intimidating. I'm not huge. I'm not ignorant. I don't present myself in any capacity that would be from a less than perspective where someone could view me in a manner that would not be forthcoming or matching who I am.
Mm.
I think it's vitally important to operate that way in every aspect. I've always been that way my entire life. Like, even when I got on Facebook, probably in what when I was 13, so like 19 years ago, on Facebook type of thing. Um, 2000 getting on Facebook for the first time type of thing. I still looked at it as this is a resume for me, right? This is an opportunity to showcase myself. This is before this was taught and expected and part of the modicum of conversation. I treated everything as if it was already LinkedIn. So I wanted to make sure that I was always coming off in a fashion that made it so I was beyond reproach because of who I was, the way I speak to others, and I think that's why people are you know want to be around me. And then also, I try to make sure that I add value to whatever else somebody else is doing. So if you're like, hey, I'm connecting here and we're talking about health insurance, perfect. But I'm going to figure out what else it is that you need so I can try to make that connection for you. A lot of times in different industries, I'd be like the glue guy, or be the plug, because I want to make sure that you're plugged into opportunity. For me, oftentimes I say it's not about me, right? That's what you hear me say on all my stages and all my events and all the things I'm running. It's not about me, right? I'm not that important, right? But if I make it about someone else and about how they're important, then it really always comes back to you. I think the old adage for me was just to pay it forward. I saw that movie when I was a kid, and it just changed my life. And from that point forward, I always had to try to pay it forward as much as I could.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, man, you can hear the genuineness of how you speak and the depth of what you do. So it's really cool to experience right now, and appreciate you, being on here and sharing your story. So the last one is operational excellence, and if you think about the systems, the tools, the things that have helped you, right, to be this guy that really has amassed a pretty big book of business in a short period of time. What are some things that you do that are a value add in an operation sense that you could share with our Go for CEO community?
I try to be organized. I have a Calendly, which I set up. I have my 10K card now, which we set up, digital business card, digital business opportunities there. Um, what else operationally? My wife gave me a custom business card as well, like that actually tied into my digital business card. That's really been very helpful in regards to brand differentiation. Um, what else operationally? Um, Honestly, I use my phone for everything. My phone is everything, and I think I coordinate things very well. I operate on an appointment only basis as opposed to just spending my time willy nilly. I'm very intentional. Like we had this time scheduled. Hey, I was here. I was on time. I was ready. But I always want to approach things in such a professional fashion. And I think if you are organized in a way that suits you, whether it's from a sense of automation, whether it's a sense of connecting on multiple things at one time. If you're using your couple of tools like Hootsuite or StreamYard, I don't necessarily use them, still kind of transitioning into them, but I'm aware of them, and I think knowledge in that capacity, the awareness of what you can do is probably the most important things to do. And then also, again, I follow up all the time. I think that's part of my organizational approach that's very successful and it's part of my business. I have a constant follow up because I'm always wanting to make sure that, again, top of people's minds. And hey, did you need this insurance? Hey, did you need to get taken care of? I'd rather you get taken care of by me than for me to drop the ball, let somebody else handle it, and then they mess you up. So,
I love it. All right. Well, hey, that's the Go for CEO, side of things. And I love that you've been a part of it. Thank you so much for, making the time. Any last words? I mean, anything that you want to share that obviously, please share the website or ways to communicate with you. I know your branding is pretty on point every single place with the Health Unicorn Mike, but I'll leave the last words to you of how to get a hold of you and where to find you.
okay. Yeah. You can check out my 10K card, Health Unicorn 10K.com, or you can just go on my website, healthunicornmike.com. That's probably the best avenue. I give a ton of information up there, teaches you about insurance. I've got videos. You can follow me on social media platforms, TikTok, Health Unicorn Mike, Instagram, Health Unicorn Mike, Facebook, Health Unicorn Mike, on all the same platforms there. To catch me on, I've got different YouTube videos out from people interviewing me, different podcasts, things of that nature. And then just a couple random notes that, maybe I'll leave with people that are trying to be CEOs or trying to transition. Just a couple of notes there. One, this is just from a health insurance perspective, I think this would be easier. Avoid the hospital. The hospital doesn't save you money. The hospital is actually specifically only designed for emergency situations. You'll pay a lot more money out of your pocket if you're going to the hospital for something that's not an emergency situation. Instead, to go to urgent care facilities. And also, when you're dealing with diagnostic testings, go to standalone facilities, places like Quest Diagnostics, Simon Labs, Tower Imaging, as opposed to trying, again, to get it done at the hospital so that you can avoid facility charges and you can probably save yourself a ton of money. For that and other tips, check me out on Clubhouse. I run rooms all the time about insurance. I have my own club, Unicorn Collaborations. Feel free to come there. And then I run rooms 3 times a week. I run a room every Tuesday specifically about insurance or wealth or money in that capacity. So if you want to tap in with me, tap in with me. I'm here. I'm here to help. And I want to make sure that you're taken care of. And everybody calls me Health Unicorn Mike, the guy with the unicorn on his head. And I'm your friend with benefit options. Happy to be here and happy to be a part of Go for CEO. It's been a great interview and thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Boom. Yeah. No, hey, man, I appreciate you, making the time. I love the branding, love the genuineness. And obviously you just shared a ton of wisdom of how to really start your own business and be a part of the health industry. Hopefully everybody that is interested in this space, not only to become an actual client, but maybe even tap into that industry as Mike is building out his organization and building out some people that you leave a comment on here, you reach out to them and you be a part of the Health Unicorn Mike stratosphere. So thanks so much, my man. And I appreciate you being on the Go for CEO channel.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.